All right, all right, all right. Welcome to Pan-African Perspectives, your weekly live stream where we talk about all things Pan-African related. Today we have a very specific update around the Citizenship by Ascension program in Sierra Leone. We have a special guest who's going to join us to give us her thoughts on her process. She's gone through the process, well, partially through the process because it hasn't been completed, and we're going to talk about that, what she's been doing on the ground. And then I will be giving you all an update on an additional program that we know about by the end of the live stream. So first of all, happy holiday, President's Day, whatever you want to describe it as for the US, for those of you who are joining on the holiday. So I want to thank you guys for joining. Before we get into the live stream, for those of you who aren't aware, my name is Joe Hatagwa. I have spent the last almost 10 years of my life traveling around the continent and to the continent, investing, buying land. Seems like my video has frozen. Investing, buying land, and living on the continent. My internet connectivity has been having some challenges. I hope you guys can hear me. So investing, buying land, and living on the continent. Apologies, guys. So I like to have conversations with folks who've made the move, who plan to make the move, who are doing things on the continent. I'm a Sierra Leonean American, so born and raised in the US, have dual citizenship with Sierra Leone, and I'm a resident of Ghana as well. And so we talk about citizenship, we talk about visiting, moving, and investing on the continent. And so today I wanted to do an update to that citizenship program. We're going to give you some background, and we're going to talk to Ursula Garrett, who is working on doing some very interesting work in Sierra Leone right now and in other parts of the continent. And she's also going to share a little bit of her story. So without further ado, I am going to bring Ursula on. So, hey, Ursula, thank you for doing this. I know that I asked you today to do this live stream, so I appreciate you jumping on. Now, you are obviously, you have a wealth of experience on the continent. You have also very recent experience in Sierra Leone. Just for those who are watching, Ursula is a tax strategist and business advisor. She helps fellow entrepreneurs build empires one asset at a time. She has a newsletter where she talks about tax and business tips every week. Her website, cpagarrett.com. And she also has a website, ursulagarrett.com as well. And so she also runs the Empower Sierra Leone Foundation, which is a nonprofit in Sierra Leone that is empowering women, uplifting villages, and transforming Sierra Leone. So, Ursula, you and I were introduced a little over a year ago, or I think about a year ago, right? Because you had just recently gone to Sierra Leone for your first trip. It was a few months after you had gone. And Dory from Salon Hidden Gems mentioned that I should definitely talk to you about all the work that you had been doing. And you had hit the ground running. And I think you're an example of someone who is not going to wait for the government or for anybody to do anything. You're going to get in and get to work. So I did a lot of talking, but thank you for doing this. Anything you want to add with what you're doing with the Empower Sierra Leone Foundation and a bit of an introduction of yourself?
Oh my gosh. Yes. We just celebrated our first anniversary. So I just got back like 2-3 weeks ago from Sierra Leone, where we had our first anniversary gala. And I was actually surprised myself at how much we were able to get done in 1 year. And I will say that I've gotten tremendous support from family and friends here in the States, from the diasporans here in the state, and the people that went with me when we went for citizenship back in November of 2024. They make regular monthly contributions to make all the things that we've been able to get done. It takes a lot of support, and I have an absolutely amazing team on the ground in Sierra Leone. Nice. But in actuality, we do have, Sierra Leone is just, it's our largest program, but the parent company is Empower Her Global Foundation, and Empower Sierra Leone Foundation is just a part of that. It's just the biggest part right now. But we've also done some contributions in Ghana and Burkina Faso. So we're looking to make a huge impact on the entire continent.
Nice. And to that point, we did originally interview you after you had just returned from Burkina Faso on that trip with ADDI. And I think what kind of led to this conversation is I did ask you a question to juxtapose that with what was happening in Sierra Leone. And so I want to start by kind of giving some people some background, right? There are a lot of new people joining these live streams, and they may not know what this Citizenship by Ascension program was or is. And, you know, really the key benefits or factors that went along with it and where we are today. I think most people have been hearing more recently, especially those who are joining more recently to this platform, about what's been happening in Ghana, right? Ghana had announced the program within a couple of days. They paused the program, and then with another couple of days, they reopened the program. And so that's been the talk of the town, or the Pan-African community, I should say, over the last 2 weeks or so. But what people aren't aware of, and what I have been trying to do my best to share, is this Sierra Leone's their own Citizenship by Ascension program. And this program has been going on for a few years. And the original program was that you paid basically a $5,000 fee, you know, and it covered your flight from New York to Sierra Leone. So wherever you are in the US, you fly into New York, and then from New York on, it was all covered: your housing, your food, I think everything except alcohol, right? Obviously. You would do naming ceremonies. You know, whatever tribe you're from, you get an adopted family. You learn about the country of Sierra Leone. You learn the national anthem. There was some details about investing and a number of different things that would happen in like these seminars. And I've sat in through a couple of sessions in these, and I do think they're informative and they're useful and helpful. And then by the end of that trip, originally, you would meet with the president of Sierra Leone. The current president is where most of this has happened under, and you would meet him, shake his hand, take a picture. Many people would be familiar with people who've done this in the past, right? Diallo from African Ancestry was a part of this. Jay Cameron from Maximum Impact, right? Some folks that you guys are familiar with who either will be on the platform or have been on the platform, and who have built their own platforms in and of themselves. And, you know, there were originally and still are 6 tour operators that are approved in order to do this. Originally, you could only get your DNA tested. You also had to have DNA from Sierra Leone, and it could only be done at one point in time through just African Ancestry. And the year, I think, if I'm not mistaken, of 2024, they're under the new administration. So same president, his second term, he brought in some new members of his cabinet, and they had made some adjustments, which seemed to be beneficial for many. And then it did seem to be some challenges for others, right? So one of the changes to the new program was that you no longer had to only get it through African Ancestry. So they opened it up to 3 countries. It's like what is it? CGI Genetics or whatever the name of the company is. I never remember the name, but some company I'd never heard of, a very small company. Then Ancestry DNA, which used to be called Ancestry.com. If you guys are familiar with that company, people use that to find their lineage between different family members and all that kind of stuff. They have a big database in the United States. And then, of course, African Ancestry was one of the others. And then I think, so that was one of the changes. The other change was that 51% of your total genetic makeup or DNA makeup had to be from just West Africa in general, not specific to Sierra Leone. So that was like the major change that they had done with this new program in terms of the parts of the qualification. The other piece that came up, and there were different reasons that were cited for why, but the other piece was that it wasn't going to be on one trip, right? It wasn't going to be just that one trip. By the end of that trip, you shake the hand and you get your citizenship. The update was that it had to be 2 trips in 12 months. And so December 2025 was going to be the first time that that second trip was going to happen for folks, because the March trip was canceled in 2024 and it was only the November trip. And so they were saying, okay, December of 2025, that would be the second trip for those people who did it in November of 2024. It's a lot that I'm saying here. I hope you guys are following. But basically, the November of 2024, the 12 months later for that second trip, which was the new criteria for citizenship. And that was when I announced that I had heard that it had been on an indefinite pause after many people had booked their tickets, and they found out just before, maybe after they had already booked their flight. Some people found out on the ground. So there's a lot there. Ursula, do you want to add any notes? Is there anything I missed about the program? Because you were part of the group that were required for 2 trips.
Right.
And if I remember correctly, when we first met, you were anticipating the second trip. It didn't happen, but you came back anyway, and you still were working on your foundation. You continued to go. You have yet to be given your citizenship, even though you did the trip and you did what you were supposed to do in 2024. Anything I'm missing? Anything you want to add on that piece?
So what I'm going to say is that program started to fall apart before they changed that. So I don't know if it was right at the change of the administration or what happened, but from everything that I've gathered, November 22nd was the last time, November of 2022 was the last time the president actually showed up at the conferment ceremony. And at that time, it was a huge one. And it wasn't just the African diasporans. It had Lebanese, Chinese, Turkish, all kinds of people there. And so the diasporan didn't feel like that was they thought they were coming for something specifically for us to be welcomed home. And when they got there and they were thrown in with everybody else, it all of a sudden didn't feel like that. But that was the last time the president showed up. And I'm not sure if that had anything to do with it or not. But, and so the next 2 in April of 23 and November of 23, people got their passports, but they never signed, what was that? The allegiance to pledge the allegiance to the country or whatever it is. Okay. So technically they're not really citizens because they never did that. So a lot of the things that were a part of the program never really happened. And so, but that's other people's story. I wasn't there. They got their passport. They're considered citizens, whether it was done legally or not, it's done. When I went in November of 24, we knew there was a possibility we weren't going to get our passports, because even though the program had changed, they would say, well, maybe it has, maybe it hasn't. And nobody would be really clear about what was going to happen. We were in that country, I think at the time, with all the different tour groups. I want to say it was close to 40 people from all the different tour groups that were there. We did not get one acknowledgement from the government that we were even in the country. We were not told about any investments. We did everything we got from tour guides. We nothing from the government. To this day, it still has not been acknowledged by not one person from the government that we were in the country. And since that time, I think I've been back in the country like 6 times, because I think I went 4 times last year, and I've already been this year. But the program for the diasporans for the come back home, come be a part of our community, it's just not there. You know, it's I can't even say it's a money grab because they're not even dealing with us. I think one of the big issues is that we're coming to become a part of the community, to become a part of the country. And we're being treated as tourists because it's the tour guides. We can't get citizenship unless we go through the tour guides. Why are we going through tour operators? We're going to be citizens. We're not interested in being a tourist. That's my first thing. And then I didn't know what to expect. The first time I went, because it was my first time going for citizenship in a country. But when I went for permanent residency in Burkina Faso, and we talked about that,
Yep.
there was so much government involvement, and they made us feel welcome, and they told us, here's what you need to do. And so, but with anything on the continent, nothing happens like that. It's not going to happen overnight. It's always they pack your patience, lots of patience. So it's a process. And so, yes, I am in line to become, I think I'm on the list to become a resident of Burkina Faso, and I love what they're doing, and I'm very interested in investing in Burkina Faso and helping that country to help to build it up. But my heart is in Sierra Leone, and my people are there. I made a connection with the people. I made a connection with the land. So what I do in spite of the government, not because of it.
Good point. Very well put. And so talk to me about what that, so you mentioned that there was no acknowledgement of you guys being there. What was the program like, though? Just so people can hear what the program was like. I mean, it was through your tour guide, so I guess that didn't change much than maybe from previous groups, because your tour guides did everything. But so you didn't have like those sessions that other people had prior to you, where government officials would come in and teach you guys the. Okay, wow. Okay, so walk me through it. What was that trip like when you went?
So I got to tell you, the tour guide, I went through Salone Hidden Gems. Well, African Ancestry and Salone Hidden Gems paired up because they no longer allowed outside tour guides to do it. You had to be on the ground. So African Ancestry teamed up with Salone Hidden Gems. We had people to meet us there at the airport and tell us exactly where to go. They took us, on the shuttle, on the sea coach to get us across. They got us to our hotels. And the very first day they came in and they talked to us about the money, because we were on the new Leone now instead of the old one. So they explained how the money works, and they had people come and cash our funds out. They told us about the things to do, and every day they packed us up on buses and took us places. We went to the museums, we went to like Bunce Island, to Banana Island, we went to a Mende village, we went to a Timne village. When we were in the Mende village, we had the cultural dances, and they fed us food, the cultural food and things like that. And the Mende people were able to get Mende name, and they got assigned to Mende families. And then a couple of days later, when we went to the Timne village, we had the naming ceremony. We actually went through secret society, both the men and the women. They separated us, and we did the secret society stuff. And even the non-Timne people were allowed to do most of the stuff we did in the secret society. So it was really, really, it was a good experience.
Okay.
And that's one of the things that brought me close to the people. It's like, okay, they were warm and they accepted us. And, our people are warm and generous. And so they made offers. Anybody that wants to build a home here in the Timne village, pick your spot, we'll make it happen, build your home. That was the offer we had. We didn't offer anything, we didn't expect anything. And so it was a surprise when the chief said to us, we want you here. So regardless of what the government was saying to us, the people were saying, we want you here. Come live among us, live with us. And that was like one of the best feelings in the world. So, of course, I took them up on it. So, of
course. So you had a host family, right? So can you talk through what that process is like, getting adopted into the family, the host family? What does that look like? And how have you extended that relationship after, your trips coming back and forth to the continent?
Oh my goodness, I cannot be in the country without seeing my papa and without seeing my brothers and the whole family. When I go to the village, in fact, I call him my papa. So the head of our family, he wants to be involved in everything. He has to know. And so if I'm doing something in the village and he doesn't know about it in advance, then, I get to hear about it.
Sure.
So the village they told us what they wanted. The first priority was they had a school that had started, I think, an expat who now lives in Germany. He started the school and he probably ran out of funds and couldn't get it finished. So they came to us. And through the foundation, I was able to raise funds and we got the school completed. So that was really good. The 2 acres they gave me for the vocational training center, we got all that settled. And right now we've put in a septic and we have a well, and we use that as a public water well. So the kids get to drink water from the well when they go to school. Anybody from the village, from the community that wants water, there's a public water well, so there's clean drinking water. You know, my host family, you know what, they're just warm, wonderful people.
Okay.
So one of my brothers now, he's actually my farm supervisor, and so he's the one that's consulting to do our Women's Harvest Network. We have 12 villages enrolled in the Women's Harvest Network, and 9 of them are actively farming. He's finishing up his degree in agriculture, but he's managing the farming network. And so that's phase 1. And this is why now I'm interested in really pushing on getting my citizenship. Before I was like, you know what, I can wait. I'm just not in a rush. I'm already doing what I need to do. But phase 2 is going to involve putting up a factory, a manufacturing facility to process the crops that we're growing. And I can't really move further and invest the way I want to and find other investors when I don't really have the security of being a citizen in the country. And even though I'm there like 3-4 times a year, so I spend the equivalent of maybe 2 to 3 months a year in Sierra Leone. That's probably not enough for residency if I went the traditional route to become a resident.
Sure.
So, but it's, you know what, I've made connections with all the other surrounding villages. I mean, we're all like one big happy family. We're doing this in all these other villages. When they saw the one village farming and the others started asking, because I didn't actually go in to do this. It just kind of fell into place.
Sure.
Things kind of happened the way they needed to happen. The women in my village asked me to help them farm. And my papa, who's a stakeholder, owns lots of land. And at first they started by saying, well, you asked your papa to give us land to farm. Okay, I did that. You asked for 1 acre, he gave you 5. And then the next thing they said, okay, now will you give us the resources? We need seeds and plants and stuff to farm. Okay, we could do that. And so we came up with agreement how that was going to work. And the neighboring villages saw that and they started asking. And so that's how the Women's Harvest Network came about, how we now have 12 communities and 9 of them are actively farming. By this farming season, we're going to have all 12 of the communities actively farming. And one of the communities has already offered the land to put up the manufacturing facility. That's the perfect spot. Asked nothing in return for it.
Nice.
And so when I say our people are warm and generous, that's exactly what they are. That's what they've shown me since I've been going there. But so anytime I need something, I can always count on my adopted family to be there. If I have a question, I just send out a message. If I need something, I send out a message. And that kind of works both ways. It's a give and take relationship. It's not all one way. And it works that way with all of the communities that are working with the foundation.
Yeah, I think, and I think it's really important for you to speak to that, both what you're doing with the foundation, and it's incredible what you've done so far. I have to commend you for the work that you've continued to do, considering how things have gone, right, with this process, and you know, and the time frame that you've done it in. I think I said that to you the first time we met, how much you had done because it had been 4 months since you had first gone there when we first had our discussion. I distinctly remember only being 4 months and how much you had done in that time frame. And so to see how far you've gone since then, it's really, really powerful to see. I thought maybe we could play a little bit of the video that you shared with me previously to kind of make it tangible and illustrate it a little bit, and then have some more commentary on what you've heard as what's happening in terms of next steps and what other processes people are trying to put in place to make citizenship happen. But I wanted to, you know, give you your flowers and give a chance for people to see what work you've been doing. So let me put that up on the screen, and then we'll have some commentary on the other side.
Good evening, everyone. As we gather here tonight, let's take a moment to reflect on the impactful journey we've embarked upon in 2025. Our commitment to empowering individuals and communities in Sierra Leone continues to drive our passion and purpose. In December 2024, we kickstarted our Empower Her program with a heartfelt donation to the First Lady's cause, Hands Off Our Girls. This initiative amplifies our commitment to ensuring the safety and well-being of young girls across the nation. January brought excitement as we participated in the Sierra Leone Innovation and Mentorship Solution, our SLIMS pitch party. Here, about 30 entrepreneurs showcased their business ideas, receiving invaluable coaching and mentorship. This event is an essential stepping stone for local innovators, fostering a spirit of entrepreneurship that we are proud to support. In February, we celebrated a significant achievement as we awarded our first scholarship through the Empower Her program to a deserving nursing student. Today, we proudly support 13 scholarship recipients, all pursuing careers in medical or business fields, paving a brighter future for themselves and their communities. Our Village Rising program is also making strides, providing scholarships to 2 young men interested in agriculture and vocational training. With a total of 5 young men now enrolled, we are committing to uplifting all members of our community. In May, we launched the Women's Harvest Network, where our first community of 117 women planted cassava. Fast forward to today, and we proudly enroll 12 communities in the program, with 9 actively growing their crops, impacting over 750 women.
Now, I know that's not the full video, and I'll play the rest of it at the end, but just in the interest of time here.
We initiated our Adopted Teacher program.
Sorry. I do want to ask you some more questions, and I'll play the rest of it at the end. So those of you who want to stay to the end, I want to play the rest. And also, before I do that, because you've done so much so far, I do want to ask you to tell the folks here how they can support the Empower Sierra Leone Foundation, where they can find more information, how they can support, before I start asking you about the new updates that you have. So please take it away.
Oh, absolutely. Just check out our website, empowerherslf.org.
Okay, nice. So go there, figure out how you can support in any way. Obviously, you heard the numbers there. You know, the number of scholarships given, the number of farming communities, all of the stuff that she's been doing. And again, this is only in a year and a half, right? Of being
Not
introduced.
quite. It's what, 14 months?
14 months. Yeah, exactly. See, since being introduced to the country. And so, you know, these are the things that I think that get missed when talking about Sierra Leone and talking about citizenship in the country, and what people come to do, and the impact that people make. And so, you know, part of why I wanted to have you on, of course, was to be able to talk a little bit about what you've been doing, and then also your experience as well. But I do think it's important that as we amplify these kinds of stories, you know, these are the types of people who should have citizenship in a country. I'm going to talk to you guys at the end about another program that's happening, and I hope that, you know, in that program, people have a similar kind of an impact. But, you know, Ursula has done all of this without actually being a full citizen of Sierra Leone. I think it's really important to communicate that. And I'm not too sure the government of Sierra Leone is even aware of what she's done, or enough of them are aware, I should say. The right people are aware of what she's done, because I don't think enough of them have been communicating with those who've gone through this process. Okay, so now to the updates, because I know that's what everyone's been asking for, and that's why people are here. You know, you and I had a brief discussion earlier about some of the things, or we were messaging back and forth about some of the things that are going on the ground. So, one, let me say this. There has been no update whatsoever from Monuments and Relics, from your knowledge, right, about the program that you've been going through, right? On your second trip, and whether or not you'll get citizenship through that program, right? The Citizenship by Ascension. Has
So
there been
they've
any?
announced the dates. They have announced dates, but there's been no, they haven't said whether or not they're going to confer citizenship.
Okay.
So the program is continuing, but we still haven't gotten any definitive answer. Yes, we're going to give you citizenship. Yes, you'll get issued a passport. So I know they're talking about it, but you know, when all's said and done, more is said than done. So what we're doing, and there's a group of us working together, we're looking at alternative solutions. What can we do if we go through another period where they say, we're going to give you citizenship, and we show up and then nothing happens again? And so, you know, we've been told that possibly you can get citizenship by going through the paramount chief. Well, we have good relationship with our chiefs and the villages and the communities that we're working into. So we're looking at maybe that might be an option to go around. You know, through my foundation, I've probably donated enough to where I personally can get citizenship based on investment, but that's not the route I want to go. And that's not going to help all the other people that went with me. And so we need to have something in place that's going to be consistent and people can rely on it. And it needs to be a program put through by a government agency that has the authority to do it. I think the tour operators, they have no authority to do anything. Their goal and their main purpose is going to be to make money. And so when you put it in their hands, that's not helping us, the diasporans that want to be a part of the community. So I think they just need to have a program where the rules are clear and everybody can follow the rules. Here's what you need to do. You know, have a clear path. Here's the path. You take these steps and you'll get your citizenship at the end of it. And until they do that and they put competent people that care about what happens, that care about the diasporan community, we're never gonna get a good program. And I think the program was broken, and this needed to happen so it can be fixed and it can be done the right way.
Yeah, all good points. So you know, I was not aware that announcement had been made of another trip. And so that would be what, the March or April? I guess the April trip.
Yeah, and the trip actually coincides with the exact same time as the Burkina Faso trip. I want to say it's like from the 25th, give or take, to like March 2nd or 3rd, something like that.
Okay, got it.
It was the exact same time that it would have been in December, from December to January. And they just had the same dates from, maybe it's April 22nd to May 2nd or something like that. I don't remember the exact dates, but yeah, we've been given dates.
Okay, got it. But of course, no confirmation of citizenship. And so, and this would be for those folks who their second trip was supposed to be in December 2025. So they would have to fly to come back again and maybe potentially get their passport, right?
Yeah, that's it.
So like some people, because some people had made that trip in last December unaware, according to them. I mean, you know, some tour operators are saying one thing, I hear people saying others. You know, and you and I had spoken about this behind the scenes, but from my understanding, I think many people had bought their tickets, traveled to Sierra Leone, and found out on the ground that citizenship would not be given. And it was already at that point, obviously, too late. Other people had taken off of work. Maybe they hadn't bought their ticket yet, but they had taken off of work. Some people had taken off of work and bought their ticket, so then they had to find out something else to do. So now there's a potential maybe to get it if they come in April again. But these flights are not cheap, right? And I think that is something to keep in mind, right? And we're talking about, you know, round trip, it's going to be at least $2,100, right? I mean, at the very least. So you're flying in on your own dime in the attempts and the hopes that potentially you'll get citizenship. So I think it's interesting that these other programs are being worked on, and I definitely would like to, you know, keep in contact with you as you hear more about it. I'm in contact with other folks behind the scenes as well, and so, you know, we'll continue to share that with folks who are interested in a citizenship program, and maybe they're not able to make the Ghana citizenship program work, or maybe they're not interested in the Burkina Faso residency program, because to date, the only country that had done something that had been like legislative and it wasn't based on executive order was Sierra Leone, right? All the other citizenships that had been given in other countries at different times and infrequently, and not done on a schedule, Sierra Leone was the only one that had a schedule, right? It had the April schedule and the November schedule. It was like clockwork every year until the years that we started talking about here on today's live stream. And so now that it's been paused, I think it's a concern for some people, obviously, understandably so. And there's a lot of things to work out. So as you said, I hope, if it was broken, hopefully they found a way to fix it. And moving forward, we'll have standardized process and folks actually gaining citizenship at the time of completion of the 2-trip program, and that there is acknowledgement by government. Now, on that note, I do want to speak to another program that has been going and is running without any issues. And people can speculate as to why. And I know sorry guys, my camera has been going in and out, but you can still hear my audio. Is that right? Like Ursula, you can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay. So there is the Citizenship by Investment program, which I had spoken to everyone about on 2 occasions previously. The first time we spoke about it, in fact, I talked about it 3 times. The first time we spoke about it, I did not know if it was real, right? It had come from a letter that I had read that said that the person was based in South Africa, and I just did not know it to be true because that came out at the same time or around the same time that the citizenship program that Ursula was going through had been put on pause. And so there was some concerns that this wasn't a real program. There were some things going on that just didn't seem like it was making any sense. So I do want to confirm, number one, that the Citizenship by Investment program is alive and growing. And I will explain a little bit about it here, but I do plan to have a live stream with one of the agents who happens to be an approved agent that is helping people get citizenship through the Citizenship by Investment program. So that live stream is going to be this coming Saturday, February 21st at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So it's a little early for you West Coast folks. It'll be 8 a.m. your time. Salon time, it will be 4 p.m. It'll be 4 p.m. GMT, 11 a.m. EST, 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I will be speaking to an agent who has helped, from what I understand, some number above 10 people go through this program. From a high level, the Citizenship by Investment program is a much more lucrative program from the Ascension program. And I think there's some speculation as to why the Ascension program has been paused and this one has been flourishing. The numbers, I think, lead to that speculation. So it is $140,000 for this fast track, go for gold Citizenship by Investment program in Sierra Leone. If you are of African descent and you've done your African ancestry, you can also pay $100,000 to get your citizenship. They have some concessions that you can make around adding a business partner, adding, many wives. I think that speaks to the Middle East. If you have multiple wives and your country allows for it, then you can also get your spouses can get citizenship. Your dependents can get citizenship. They have special dependents. They have core dependents. The pricing and all of that and all the details of that will be explained on Saturday. But just know that over $1 million was generated by these programs in the first 6 months that this program was in place, the Citizenship by Investment program. So we will be speaking to one of the folks who was an early adopter of this program. He's even potentially considering doing the program himself. And Citizenship by Investment program is not new. It's not a new concept. I've spoken about this before. Anthony Blinken, now known as Tony Blinken, the architect of the new Gaza Strip, he was the prime minister of the UK during the 90s, around the Clinton time. He had a citizenship by investment program in the UK. The United States has a similar version of that. You guys might know that Nicki Minaj got a fast track citizenship by investment program recently. If you guys are not aware of all the things that have been going on with that young lady and musical artist, I'll say. But many countries have these options. Sao Tome and Principe has it. Botswana is planning to launch one. Egypt has a citizenship by investment program. So these are the 4 countries in Africa right now that have public programs. So to be clear, it's not just specific to Sierra Leone, but there are some concerns around it, like nefarious, well, not nefarious, it's the word I'm looking for, but maybe unscrupulous folks who want to get away from their country of origin, maybe potentially change their name, because part of the citizenship by investment program many times offers name changes. So you can change your name, you can get away from your country, maybe you have a lot of cash that you want to move. So these are all concerns that people have, and we will address on Saturday. But that program in Sierra Leone is live and well. And by the way, what I just spoke to, the last 2 minutes of the challenges or the concerns, is not specific to Sierra Leone. This is what happened in London, right? Many African leaders who had pillaged their own countries were getting citizenship in London and building houses, et cetera, in England in the 90s. During Anthony Blinken's time because of this program. So, and the United States has had other citizenship by investment programs too. So I do just want to make sure that it's clear. I'm not speaking specifically to Sierra Leone when I'm talking about that. I mean more in general with the citizenship by investment program, which generally has concerns for many folks because it's a fast track to citizenship, which doesn't even have as much scrutiny you might find as the fast track, the other citizenship program that Ursula went through, right? Or the ones that Ghana is asking for, right? And it can be done completely remotely from the Sierra Leone version. So we'll talk about that on Saturday. So if you guys are all interested in hearing about that program, you want to speak to somebody directly involved with helping people get citizenship in Sierra Leone through that fast track program of $140,000, who the kind of people are who have been doing these programs, and who I would like to try to counteract and counterbalance that with. Stay tuned for Saturday's live stream so we can talk about that. I'll just leave it there on that. If you want to know more about that, definitely join the live stream on Saturday. Before we close this live stream out, I do want to give you maybe the final word, Ursula. Anything you want to mention about what you've been doing on the ground, what you've seen so far with the citizenship program, and then also too, maybe if you have any, thoughts on Burkina Faso's residency program or any updates there as well. I know there's a lot of questions, but any things you want to add before we close this thing out?
Well, you know what? Let's start with the last thing you said, Burkina Faso. You know what? It seems to be going really well. I think they've already come up with a final list of people that are getting residency.
Okay.
And so I think the last update was that maybe we'll be picking up our residency cards in April when we go there. So one way or the other, even if the time conflicts, it's a 2-hour flight. It'll be an expensive flight, but I can go from Sierra Leone to Burkina Faso for a few days. I'm really looking forward to the April trip in Burkina Faso. Once you get residency, then you're going to be able to actually make the investments and do the kinds of things. And it's a country on the fast track to be in, probably one of the, if not the most developed country in the world, in my opinion. As far as Sierra Leone, the president said something at a conference about, the free education in Sierra Leone. And I kind of, I just had to smile, grin and bear that one. But I actually did some research and I found out that the literacy rate in Sierra Leone is less than 50%. So, and I know I had somebody that works for me and she can't read and write no matter what language. Initially, I thought it was because she couldn't read or write in English, but it turns out she couldn't read or write in no matter what language it is. And that really hurt my heart when I hear somebody working for me. What are we doing? So at our Entrepreneur Hub, our newest program for this year is adult literacy. And so I go, like I tell you, I go in and we don't have plans to do something, but it happens because there's a need. the need is so great. So that's going to be our big push. I don't care what language you learn to read and write in, you just need to know how to read and write and understand what it is you're reading and writing. Yeah. And so that's going to be our big push for 2026 is adult literacy. And I've already had quite a few volunteers, people volunteering to teach the classes. So that entrepreneur hub, I want to see it working 24 hours a day. If it's there and it could be useful and it can help the community, then that's what we're going to do.
Nice. Where physically is the Entrepreneur Hub? So those who are in country, if they want to stop by, click part, get involved.
Okay, so we're out in the boonies. So when I'm in Freetown, and I say we're out in Allentown, which is the very edge of Freetown.
Right.
People always say, Allentown, like we're in the middle of nowhere. Mm-hmm. So it's on the edge of Freetown in this little area called Allentown. It's right off of Main Drag. And
I'm familiar.
So, our tailoring students, they're making reusable period pads. They make clothes for kids in orphanages. They make stuff that we sell in our retail store. If you put something in front of our tailoring students, their teachers are teaching them how to do it. And so nice. I'm so impressed. I am so impressed by the work that they're doing. We have our IT students. We have the catering students who made all the sweets, all the cakes and stuff for our gala. We have the hairdressing students, and they're learning. It's more cosmetology than just hairdressing. So they're learning to do natural hair, different kinds of locks. They're learning to do makeup and nails, and they're just learning all these things. And because if you feel good, if you look good, you feel good. And so we find the things that people are interested in, and we find a way to teach them skills.
Nice. I love to hear that. So, so we talked about Burkina Faso. We talked about the updates on the program. Now, any thoughts to those who were thinking about going through the program that you went through? What advice would you give to someone? It's tough because I don't even know what advice I would give considering the circumstances. But do you have thoughts on that? Like what advice you would give to someone who's considering this program?
In all honesty, I'm going to have to say you're going to have to look at what's your main purpose, what's your main reason for wanting to become a citizen of Sierra Leone. If it's because you want to be a part of Sierra Leone, you want to be a part of the community, then I'm going to say there's that patience again. Just bring lots of patience, because the way the program is, until they have a solid program, there's nobody can tell you when and where you would actually get your citizenship, because we don't know, they don't know, and nobody's forthcoming. Everybody's it's not my department, it's not my department. It's kind of hard to say what's going to happen with that. Now, if you're just looking to be a part of a community in Africa where you want your citizenship in a country, because Sierra Leone was the first, I think a lot of people decided to go there. And, we've all a lot of us have traced our ancestry, and we could probably pick any number of countries in West Africa that we could put our allegiance to. So if that's your goal, there are other countries that are offering it with a lot less hassle and that are more clear forward. I think Benin had something going on. You see what's going on in Burkina Faso. They're offering permanent residency with the option of, I guess, eventually you can get citizenship. Ghana, they're having their issues, but they're still offering citizenship. And I think there are still some other African countries that are still offering citizenship. So the main thing is going to be, what's your reason? What's your purpose? If you're one of these people that's collecting passports, and I've run into so many of them, they want to see how many passports they can get. Sierra Leone is not going to be the easy collect a passport country. So follow your heart is what I'm going to say, and pack your patience.
Pack your patience. All great advice.
From Diallo. We were mentioning Diallo. My first time to Sierra Leone, he told all of us, pack your patience. He must have said that multiple times, and that's kind of stuck in my brain now. Pack your patience.
Absolutely. And to that point, I interviewed Diallo this last time I was in Ghana. So expect that interview to come out sometime soon. It's a long time coming. I met Diallo back in 2023 or 2022 on one of the African ancestry trips. So I do look forward to you guys hearing his story. It's a 2-hour-long interview full of lots of twists and turns and lots of great information and insight into what he's been doing since he's gotten his citizenship in both countries. He's another person who's gotten citizenship in Sierra Leone and in Ghana. and what he's been doing in those places. So his story is a very interesting one, especially because I thought he was recently of African descent because of his name, and I found out later it's just a Pan-African nature of his like family and how they operate. They named him that based on just their connection to Africa without being recently from the continent, which I thought was interesting. So that's a little bit of a snippet of what that conversation with Diallo is going to look like. And he did mention pack your patience a number of times through that interview. So I'm familiar with him using that term for sure. All right, cool. So with that, I want to thank you again for doing this on such short notice. I mean, people were very engaged. You know, the address for the location in Allentown, I'm going to put it in the description. I don't know if
400 Baibure Road.
400 Baibure Road. I don't know if you guys want to try to write that down, but it'll be in the description. So it'll be in the description, at least on YouTube. So head over to YouTube, watch the video, get it in the description. I'll make sure to put it there. Also, the information is going to be on the website. So let me just share the website again really quickly so you guys aren't unfamiliar. It's Empower Herself.
No, SLF, no E, no second.
Oh, right. EmpowerHerSLF.org. That's right. See, you know, reading comprehension. Reading is fundamental, guys. So I will share what the website looks like so you know you're at the right place when you get there. This is what it looks like here. Let me know if you guys can see it. But you know this logo here because you saw it in the video. You saw it on those T-shirts. And so you want to jump over to the website. There it is, EmpowerHerSLF.org. It's all right there. I am going to play the rest of that video. So stay on to watch that video. And then Ursula, you and I maybe can catch up right after the video's over and we end the live stream. But yeah, so thanks guys for wait, sorry, it's showing the wrong thing on the screen. I meant to show. It's not showing. Okay, there it is. That's what I meant to show on the screen. And that is the website there. All the details on the foundation is all here. So you can scroll down and look through everything. Ursula smiling, big smile. So yeah, go check it out and show your support. I will now jump to the video and we'll play the rest of that video. And then we will see you guys all on Thursday for This Week in Africa and Saturday for that special edition of our live stream to interview one of the agents that are helping people get citizenship by investment in Sierra Leone. What that
providing stipends.
And if you're interested in learning more about it. So without further ado, let me get into this video and we will see you guys on that next live stream. So here we go.
In June, we initiated our Adopted Teacher Program, providing stipends to 33 unpaid teachers in Matwea Village. Education is the bedrock of our future, and this initiative helps ensure that dedicated educators can continue their vital work. In July, we focused on health, distributing malaria education and 1,200 mosquito nets to pregnant women and senior women, along with 1,400 raincoats to women and children. These initiatives are vital in combating malaria and promoting healthy lives in our communities. By September, our Step Forward Sierra Leone program had distributed 800 pairs of shoes to school children, followed by school supplies for over 1,000 students. Every child deserves the tools they need to succeed. In November, our Village Rising program adopted 2 orphanages, one in Waterloo and one in Aberdeen. We provided food, school supplies, clothing, housing renovations, and scholarships for 3 students to attend training at our Entrepreneur Hub. Our hub commenced its first training classes in September, offering courses in tailoring, catering, Gara tie-dyeing, hairdressing, and technology. By empowering individuals with skills, we are equipping them to thrive and foster economic growth within their communities. Together, we are making a difference one step at a time. Thank you for your continued support and commitment to empowering our community. Let's keep believing in the power of change.